Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and I normally don't do a voiceover for coloring videos and I won't do a full voiceover, but I did want to just talk a little bit about my approach to coloring this particular scene and in general. So with skin tones, I actually color that differently than how I color everything else pretty much. So with everything else, I generally start from the shadow and my darkest color, and then I'll work to my midtone and then my lightest color, and I may go back and darken some areas where I feel like maybe the lightest color has sort of bleached it out too much. But generally that's my approach, which is dark to light. With skin, what I do is I work very differently and I actually end up doing a lot more layers with my skin tone. So I'll do light, then mid, and then I'll go back to light to just sort of feather out that edge where I left off on my mid-tone. And that way you always have like a nice soft edge. And I'll work from the shadows, usually on sort of the outer edges, and then I kind of always put my highlight in the center. So I'm always working sort of outside in, and I'll keep on going in that order. So I'll go lightest, mid, light again, and bringing that mid-tone further inwards. Then I'll go dark, and then mid-tone to bring that dark, fade that dark in, or kind of feather that dark color more towards the center. And then I'll go back in with my lightest and bring that mid-tone even further into the center of the image. So it's a lot of back and forth and always trying to kind of bring the darker colors progressively inwards, but always keeping that edge nice and sort of feathered and soft so that you get a nice smooth transition. I am not a coloring expert, and I have not perfected this technique. It's just something that I saw another artist do as I was sort of learning how to color skin tones. And when I tried it, it felt like that worked well for me. So that's what I've been doing ever since. And like I said, I'm no expert. I'm not super perfect on light sourcing or anything like that, but I do find that always sort of going, starting with your lightest, especially because the lighter colors have more alcohol in them, so they do tend to kind of bleach out your darker colors. And when you're starting on a foundation of something that's already a little bit lighter or has a lot of more alcohol content in it, then your darker colors don't seem to set in the paper quite as much, and so everything ultimately ends up being like a little bit lighter. And I feel like coloring the skin tone in this order also is a little bit more forgiving. That's just personally what I've found, but everything else that I color, hair, clothing, etc., it's always dark to light. And so that's really the only thing I wanted to mention was just the technique. And I did jot down all of the colors that I used. I'm using a combination of Copics. I don't have a super big set of Copics. I'm still building my collection. So I've got some Copics and some Ohuhu. So where you see a color combination that starts with O, those are my Ohuhu markers. And so hopefully if you're interested in color combinations, I'll be putting those up on the screen as I color in that section. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say about my coloring. I hope that you enjoy the rest of this video. I'll set the rest to some music, and since I won't be rejoining you at the end, I'll say my goodbyes now. Thank you so much for joining me, and until next time, happy crafting and enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks, bye!